Discover divine guidance. Transform your morning with a miraculous prayer for blessings today. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, as the sun began to rise over the rugged hills of Judah, a man named Jabez rose from his humble dwelling. His heart was heavy, burdened by both the weight of his name and the legacy of sorrow it depicted. Born amidst the agonizing cries of his mother, who named him Jabez, a name meaning sorrow, he felt as though his very existence was marred by grief. Yet even in this legacy, he felt a burgeoning hope, a flicker of longing for divine favor that urged him toward God. As the dawn unfolded its gentle embrace, Jabez knelt in the stillness, closing his eyes to the soft light that caressed his face. He had heard the tales of his ancestors, testimonies of God's mercy and grace, and today, he sought that grace for himself. As he humbly bowed to the earth below him, his voice echoed into the heavens, "Oh, that you would bless me and expand my territory, and that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from harm, so that it might not bring me pain." His prayer came from the depths of his soul, each word a tether connecting his dreams to the Creator. In that sacred moment, the dawn broke fully, illuminating the path before him. Unseen but ever present, God heard his cry, and a divine plan began to unfold, aligning with his covenant promises to Jabez and his people. As he rose, invigorated by the hope forged in prayer, he stepped into the heart of Judah, where clans vied for recognition and honor. Opportunities arose as if divinely orchestrated. A farmer approached him, offering a chance to manage fertile lands. A merchant, sensing Jabez's potential, extended an invitation to partner in trade, yet, with every newfound opportunity came a tempest of doubt. Whispers of sorrow crept through the air, spoken in hushed tones by those blinded by jealousy. Jabez's heart wrestled with insecurities, a true test of faith as he contemplated if he could rise above the shadows of his name and embrace the blessings he sought. In moments of solitude by the river, where the waters flowed like the mercies of God, he recalled the promise made long ago to Abraham. In prayerful conversations, he sought refuge from the storm of criticism and doubt. "I am not alone," he reminded himself, drawing strength from the covenant that was a lifeline to his spirit. As the sun climbed high, casting shadows that danced along the riverbanks, a rival appeared, a claimant eager to contest the new influence Jabez had garnered. Tension erupted, and the air thickened with uncertainty. Could envy extinguish the flame of hope lit in Jabez's heart? At that highly charged moment, he pondered what true blessings consisted of. Was it merely territory and stature, or might the difficult path, the one littered with trials and tribulations, ultimately hold the key to deeper divine glory? The answer danced just beyond his grasp, yet one truth remained clear: this pursuit extended beyond earthly rewards. It invited God's hand into every moment of life. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. Jabez stood firm, watered by prayer, yearning to witness God's miraculous guidance unfurl in his life. The sun blazed overhead, a reminder of divine light cutting through the shadows of doubt. As he prepared himself to face whatever lay ahead, his heart ready for the transformation only God could bring. How would this clash of rivals unfold, and would it lead to the blessings he sought amidst formidable challenges? The story of Jabez was just beginning, shrouded in the mysterious promise of a divine intervention yet to come. As the sun began to set over the hills of Judah, casting golden hues across the land, Jabez felt the weight of expectation pressing upon him. He stood upon the banks of the river, listening to the flow of waters that had witnessed generations rise and fall. Each ripple seemed to whisper of destiny. The very earth beneath his feet felt charged with the promise of what might come. The rival, a man named Eliab, approached him with eyes burning with ambition. "Jabez," Eliab said, his voice sharp as a sword, "do you think your prayer will shield you from the weight of your name? Sorrow cannot be exorcised by mere words. The legacy of your birth is tattooed on your soul. You will always be what you were named." Jabez's heart raced, but with each beat, he recalled the covenant promises of old, the unfailing love of God that rested upon Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. "You may speak of my past, Eliab, but it is not in my name that my future lies, it is in the hands of my God. I have sought his blessing, and I will not hide from the life that he has laid before me." Eliab's face twisted in scorn as he replied, "And what of the land you wish to claim? Do you believe the people will accept a man of sorrow as their leader?" His words dripped with derision, causing the bystanders, who had gathered to witness this exchange, to murmur amongst themselves, but Jabez, emboldened by prayer, held his ground. "My worth is not determined by the fleeting opinions of men, but by the Creator who formed me. I carry with me the legacy of hope and healing, and I shall not be shackled by a name that seeks to bind me to my past." The murmurs grew louder, and tension hung thick in the air, yet Jabez felt a divine assurance wash over him, steadying his spirit. He remembered the words spoken in Scripture, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" Psalm 27 verse 1. With renewed vigor, he lifted his gaze toward the sky, as if seeking divine approval. Eliab's response was swift and cutting, "Then let the land decide, Jabez. A contest of strength, to determine who shall take possession. Let the Almighty show whom he favors." And so it was that a challenge was issued, igniting the hearts of those present. The news spread like wildfire, drawing people from near and far to gather at the valley's edge, a place where destiny would be written into the soil of Judah. Amidst the growing crowd, Jabez sought the quiet of his heart once more. He withdrew from the throng, kneeling in the cool earth, fervently praying. "Lord, I beseech you, guide my steps. If this contest is your will, grant me wisdom and strength. May your hand be with me, that I might reflect your glory in all that I do." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows that lengthened with each passing moment, hope burgeoned within him. He could feel the weight of the challenge before him, but he clung to the promise that God would not forsake him. In that profound stillness, Jabez sensed the stirring of something greater than himself. The surrounding silence bore witness to an unseen battle. The cries of his ancestors echoed in the wind, calling him to rise above the sorrow that had marked his lineage. What awaited him in the contest would not merely be a clash of men. It was, in truth, a clash of legacies, a moment where the defining essence of faith and identity would grapple against the shadows of doubt. Unbeknownst to Jabez, the heavens remained poised, and in this unfolding drama, God's sovereign plan was carefully being woven, setting the stage for a revelation that would forever change the fate of his people. Would he emerge victorious and laid claim to his true identity, or would he be ensnared in the very sorrow he sought to escape? The answer lay just beyond the horizon, within the reach of a promise that was about to be fulfilled. As the dawn broke over the valley, a hue of crimson light illuminated the faces of the gathered multitude. The anticipation was palpable, the air thick with expectation, as Jabez stood resolute, preparing his heart for the contest that awaited him. Each breath he took carried the weight of his ancestors, each heartbeat resonating with the covenant promises engraved in the scrolls of old. Eliab, fully aware of the crowd's gaze, raised his voice, stirring the assembly. "Let it be known today," he declared, "that strength alone shall determine our fate. The one who overcomes shall be hailed not just as a leader, but as a rightful heir of this land." Jabez looked upon the faces of his kin, recalling the stories of Israel's rise, of battles fought with valor, and victories won by sheer faith. He remembered David, a shepherd who had bested a giant. The echoes of faith strengthened his resolve. "If it is the Lord who fights for me, then I shall not fear," he murmured under his breath. The terms of the challenge were established: 2 champions, one for each man, who would compete in feats of strength and endurance. Eliab's champion, a warrior seasoned by conflict, stood tall and intimidating, whereas Jabez chose an unlikely ally from among the humble folk, a youth named Obadiah, whose heart was fervent and unwavering. As the contest began, Jabez felt every eye upon him. Doubt, scorn, and challenge pressed in like a weighted mantle. The first test involved a race through the rugged paths of the valley, a proving ground that would test both speed and resilience. With a shout, the contest commenced. Eliab's champion surged ahead, but Jabez called upon the Lord, his heart a prayer. "Grant me strength, O God," he whispered fervently. As if in response, a renewed energy surged through his limbs. Light as a feather, he found his feet moving with a grace he had never known. The crowd was astir, murmurs of disbelief mingling with gasps of admiration. Jabez pressed on, his eyes fixed on the finishing line, a place denoting not just victory, but the promise of hope and healing. Just as Eliab's champion stumbled over a hidden rock, a joyful shout erupted from Jabez. He crossed the finish line first, the echo of cheers resounding in the air, but the contest was far from over. The second test required strength of body, as they faced off in a test of wrestling where brute force would determine prowess. Jabez prayed silently again, invoking the spirit of perseverance. His heart surged with a faith that transcended physical might, and though the odds were against him, he felt the presence of the Almighty fortifying his spirit. With each clash, Eliab's champion bore down on him with fierce determination, but Jabez held strong, remembering the words of Psalm 18 verses 32 to 34. It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure. Victory came as Jabez summoned the strength of his ancestors, those who had fought against giants, barriers, and fears. With one determined motion, he flipped Eliab's champion onto the ground, the dust rising in a cloud of triumph. The crowd erupted, roars of jubilation and cheers of deliverance filled the valley. In that sacred moment, Jabez realized that his victory was not merely his own but a redemptive narrative for all who had lived under the weight of sorrow. He felt a divine assurance that shattered the chains of his past, bringing forth a legacy marked by hope. Yet just as the echoes of victory began to settle, a hush fell over the assembly. Eliab's face clouded with rage and disbelief. "This is not over," he bellowed, his voice cutting through the air like a storm. With the winds of change stirring around him, Jabez sensed that this contest was but a foretaste of a greater calling. The very earth trembled beneath their feet, whispering of an even broader battle to come, one that would challenge the foundations of their faith and identity. In the depths of his heart, Jabez grasped a profound truth, for the God who called him forth was weaving a story far deeper than his own. What more awaits us in the plan of God? He wondered aloud, as the crowd began to disperse, carrying with them a glimmer of newfound hope. Yet still, a divine mystery lingered, echoing through the valley. What if Jabez's victory was only the beginning, and the true battle for the heart of Judah had yet to be revealed? As the dust settled from the contest, the murmurs of the crowd faded into an expectant silence, each heart becoming keenly aware of the unease that lingered in the air. Jabez stood tall despite the weight of Eliab's threat hanging over him like a dark shadow. He scanned the faces of his people, searching for assurance, for a beacon of hope amidst their turmoil. With fervent whispers, the crowd began to question what this defeat would mean for their future. "Is our freedom truly at hand?" some murmured, while others recalled the old tales of oppression, their eyes reflecting the fear of reliving a past marked by despair. Yet amid their uncertainty, a flame of determination ignited within Jabez's core. He recalled the words of Isaiah, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Isaiah 54 verse 17. Feeling the weight of the moment, Jabez raised his voice, steady and unwavering. "Brothers and sisters, remember, our strength comes not from our might, but from the Lord our God. He has proven faithful in our past, and he shall do so again. This victory is but a glimpse of what is to come." The assembly stirred, buoyed by his conviction. Eliab's visage contorted with fury as he signaled to his champion, who struggled to regain composure. "You think this is over, Jabez? You have won this day, but I shall seek vengeance." Eliab's eyes blazed with malice. Eliab turned to rally his followers, who had remained silent, and a swell of anger rose among them. They began to chant his name, emboldened by their leader's resolve. Jabez's heart raced as he sensed a mounting tension that could spiral into chaos. He took a step forward, clasping his hands in prayer, seeking the Lord's wisdom in that decisive moment. "O Lord, guide us through this darkness," he whispered, desiring peace even as conflict loomed. Suddenly, a quiet rustle echoed through the valley, and the earth itself seemed to tremble in response to a divine presence. The crowd fell silent as a figure emerged from the throng, a prophet named Ahijah, garbed in simple robes, his countenance reflecting both humility and authority. He raised his hand, commanding the attention of both Jabez and Eliab, his voice clear and resonant. "Thus saith the Lord, this day, a new chapter shall unfold for the children of Judah. In this contest of strength and pride, my will is being revealed." Jabez's victory signifies not merely personal triumph but the restoration of your covenant with me. His words sent a shiver through the crowd, and they felt an ancient promise rekindled within their souls. Jabez's heart leapt as he sensed the Spirit moving among his people, igniting their spirits with renewed faith. Yet, in that sacred moment, Eliab, still raging, overlooked the truth unfolding before him. You think a prophet's words can change our fate? Victory is achieved through might, not words. Ahijah continued, undeterred by the retort. There is a battle yet to come, Eliab, greater than strength. It shall be a battle for the soul of your people, a struggle of righteousness against wickedness. Jabez shall lead not with brute force but with a heart aligned to divine purpose. Jabez felt an overwhelming wave of divine affirmation wash over him, stirring the depths of his being. Could it be true, that his path was not merely for his own glory but for something far more significant, the hearts of many, calling forth a generation of faith? As whispers of promise danced among the people, the ground beneath trembled once more, for the echoes of God's sovereign plan were not yet fully revealed. What deeper battles awaited them? What conflicts of the spirit must they face before the dawn of true freedom? With a sense of divine urgency, Jabez could only wonder, what is this true destiny being crafted by the hand of God? And it came to pass that as Jabez stood amidst the throng, a fire of resolve ignited within him. His people looked upon him with expectant eyes, and he felt the weight of their hope resting on his shoulders. He gathered himself, knowing that this was but a moment, a precursor to the trials ahead. Ahijah, still proclaiming the word of the Lord, turned his gaze upon Eliab. Your might shall crumble before the divine plan, Eliab. The Lord has chosen Jabez, not for a fleeting victory, but for the restoration of his people. The prophet's countenance shone brightly as he spoke, and the winds of destiny began to shift. Eliab, enraged yet blinded by pride, stepped forward, his voice a booming defiance. Let us see how the Lord protects a coward. If strength falters, then all hope is lost. Come, warriors of my side, prepare for battle. The hour of reckoning is upon us. His followers rallied behind him, their hearts filled with anger, ready to heed their leader's call, yet within the hearts of the children of Judah, a seed of faith took root. The murmurs of fear transformed into whispers of encouragement. We will stand with Jabez, for the Lord is with him, cried one elder, raising his staff in solidarity. Others soon echoed his proclamation, their voices growing stronger with conviction, filling the valley with a chorus of hope. Jabez's heart quickened, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. He looked upon the faces of his people, each filled with varying degrees of faith and doubt. Fear not. For the Lord our God fights for us. Even in the shadows of darkness, his light shall break forth. He raised his hands toward heaven in a gesture of surrender and trust, imploring the Almighty for guidance and strength. As the echo of his words faded, a sudden stillness enveloped the air, heavier than before. From the depths of that hushed moment, a cloud appeared upon the horizon, looming and dark, yet brilliant with light. The crowd gasped, for they understood it to signify the presence of the Lord, as in the days of old when he led the Israelites through the wilderness. What does this mean? Whispered a young woman to her companion, eyes wide with awe. Could it be that the Lord is preparing us for the trials ahead? He replied, sensing the divine movement. Ahijah spoke again, his voice ringing like a bell. The Lord has heard your cries. Prepare your hearts, for the battle will not be with swords and shields alone but with prayers and supplications. Seek him, and he shall deliver you from the snare of the enemy. A shudder passed through the crowd, for they felt the weight of what was to come. Jabez resolved himself not only to lead but to intercede for his people. With each passing moment, the darkness gathered, and the brightness of divine promise clashed against the shadow of impending strife. With renewed faith, Jabez knelt upon the ground, stirring the hearts of his people to follow suit. Together, they bowed low, pleading for mercy, wisdom, and strength. As their voices mingled in prayer, the atmosphere shifted with palpable tension, pregnant with the possibility of divine intervention. In that sacred moment, as their cries rose like incense before the throne of grace, a whisper fell upon Jabez's spirit, a prophetic assurance that quickened his resolve. What you will encounter is but a shadow of the greater work I am doing amongst my people. Stand firm in your faith, for I shall be your shield and your refuge. And thus, as the clouds swirled above, the hearts of Judah prepared for the storm that would come. The air thickened with anticipation of the battles to be faced, and Jabez, buoyed by the promise of God, understood that their fight was indeed just beginning. As the thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, a new question arose within him, echoing the heart of his people. What greater deliverance does the Lord have in store, waiting to be revealed in the midst of darkness? And it came to pass that as the shadows lengthened, Jabez rose from his place of supplication, emboldened by the Spirit of the Lord. The murmurs of his people grew fainter as he turned his gaze toward the horizon, where clouds of battle loomed, filled not with mere storms, but with the weight of divine purpose. Brothers and sisters, Jabez spoke, his voice steady as the dawn breaking forth. Let us not waver in our hope. The Lord our God is here amongst us. He shall fight our battles as he did for our fathers in the days of old. Remember how he parted the Red Sea, how he led us forth with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. At his words, the hearts of the assembly leapt. They found strength in the remembrances of God's faithfulness. Jabez could feel the shift. There was unity among them, a bond forged in prayer and trust that began to dispel the apprehension that lingered like mist. But even as spirits lifted, Eliab, the prideful leader of the opposing faction, perceived the growing zeal of Jabez's followers. Seething with wrath, he gathered his warriors and summoned their vile intentions. You are fools, he bellowed, shaking his fist toward Jabez. You place your trust in a shadow of faith while we wield the might of the sword. Yet, you shall see, today, the very ground shall tremble beneath our feet. As Eliab's voice echoed across the valley, Jabez's heart sank momentarily. Yet he looked to Ahijah, who stood firm, his eyes ablaze with prophetic fire. Fear not, Jabez. For your eyes shall behold the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. Only stand firm and remain faithful. Encouraged by the prophet's words, Jabez raised a prayer to the heavens. O Lord, our strength and our song, grant us wisdom and valor. May our hearts be steadfast, even in the face of adversity. And as he prayed, the heavens opened, revealing rays of light cascading down. The air felt electric with divine energy, affirming the promise made to his chosen ones. A sweet, soft wind began to blow, rustling the leaves and bringing with it the distant cadence of angelic voices singing truths known to the heart, but not yet grasped by mortal minds. The people of Judah, caught in this divine moment, began to sing praises unto God. Their voices rose together, a harmonious tribute that ascended like incense before the Lord. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. His mercy endures forever. As they worshipped, the ground beneath the feet of Eliab's army began to tremble, and a visible panic spread among them. They looked upon one another, their courage faltering as uncertainty crept into their hearts. They were not just witnesses to a mortal battle, they stood against the living God. Suddenly, a great rumbling echoed through the valley. The skies darkened further, but amidst the chaos, a brilliant light sprang forth, illuminating the faces of the faithful. Awestruck, Jabez gazed into the distance, and his heart was stirred with a knowing. The Lord our God is doing a new thing. Even as we sing, so shall he deliver. Yet, a thought flickered in his mind, mingling with his anticipation a prophetic vision of battles yet unseen, of works yet untold. What might the Lord's plan encompass beyond this conflict? What divine revelations might unfold from the depths of their struggle? As the echoes of Jabez's heart resonated against the heavens, the stillness returned, carrying a weight of mystery. The time for the Lord's great act of deliverance was near, yet Jabez could not fathom the fullness of God's design. In that sacred moment, a question hung in the air, piercing the silence: what greater work shall the Lord accomplish through our tribulation? And it came to pass, as Jabez stood there trembling with faith and holy anticipation, that suddenly the skies broke forth with a clarity that was both terrifying and beautiful. The celestial realm seemed to grant a glimpse of the divine host, their wings shimmering as they prepared for battle. An overwhelming awe descended upon the people of Judah, and they instinctively knelt in reverence, stricken by the power of the moment. Behold! Cried Ahijah, his voice rising like a clarion call. The Lord of hosts has gone forth before us. Do not be dismayed, for our God is a consuming fire, and he shall not forsake his own. Encouraged by Ahijah's proclamation, Jabez pressed deeper into prayer, his heart crying out for mercy and strength upon his people. With each intonation of his supplication, the very heavens resonated, and the air thickened with the presence of the Almighty. Eliab, filled with rage, summoned his warriors. Prepare yourselves. He bellowed, gesturing toward the trembling earth. These faithless sheep shall be crushed under our boots. We are the storm that shall silence their praises. Yet even as he spoke, doubt crept into his heart, for he felt the shifting winds of destiny, whispering of judgment. The clash of wills unfolded like a tapestry woven by divine fingers. The loyal followers of Jabez, emboldened by the omnipotent hand of God, rose from their knees with renewed vigor. Their imprecations morphed into powerful proclamations, claiming the promises of God that resounded through the eons. He who is with us is greater than he who is against us. They shouted, stoking the fire of passion until it surged like a river. Eliab's men quivered, their courage wavering as they felt the weight of the unseen battle that raged around them. What are we facing? They murmured amongst themselves, their hearts clenched with fear. In that hour of uncertainty, the earth trembled once more, and a sound like the rush of mighty waters enveloped the valley. Jabez raised his eyes to the heavens and beheld a vision, a great cloud descending, filled with fire and glory, approaching swiftly upon the horizon. Look! He cried, pointing toward the celestial herald. The Lord cometh with a sword for deliverance. As the armies of Judah marched forward, their hearts ignited with confidence, Eliab's face turned pale. We cannot stand against such a force, he exclaimed, dread clawing at his heart. We must retreat. But it was too late, for they were already ensnared by terror. Jabez led his people boldly into the fray, the divine light illuminating their path. Onward, brethren! We shall not fall into despair. Our God is our shield and our fortress. And as they advanced, a grand chorus echoed through the heavens, shaking the very ground upon which they stood. The clash of swords met the cries of deliverance as the two factions collided. God fought alongside Jabez's followers, sending confusion among the enemy ranks. The sounds of battle were swallowed by the resounding victory that filled the air, shattering the belief that the dark could overcome the light. Yet, amid the tumult, a new thought breached the threshold of Jabez's soul. Could this battle be just the beginning? An unseen tapestry of redemption woven through conflict, leading to the revelation of God's greater plan. As the dust settled and silence enveloped the valley, the faithful gathered in worship, their hearts brimming with praise and gratitude. We have witnessed the hand of God. They rejoiced, but as they celebrated, the echoes of the great victory whispered a deeper truth. The manifestation of God's unwavering purpose remained shrouded in mystery. What celestial work awaited beyond this day of deliverance? What divine truth would emerge from the unraveling narrative of faith? The vastness of God's design loomed ahead, leaving the hearts of the faithful in eager expectation, for they knew he had much more in store. And it came to pass, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden rays upon the land, that Jabez gathered his people before him with a heart full of fervent gratitude. The air still vibrated with the remnants of the battle, a palpable reminder of the Lord's mighty deliverance. Behold, Jabez cried out, his voice a mixture of joy and reverence. The Lord has given us victory over our enemies today. Let us not take this moment lightly, for the battle was not ours but the Lord's. Therefore, let us give thanks to the God who fights for us. The assembly erupted in shouts of praise, their voices lifted toward heaven, declaring the faithfulness of the Almighty. In unison, they exalted, His mercy endures forever. His love is our strength. As the sound of their worship filled the valley, a sudden hush fell. It was as if the very heavens leaned in, eager to hear the whispered prayers of the faithful. And then, a stillness, for the presence of God descended anew among them, enveloping them as morning fog wraps the earth. In that sacred solitude, Jabez sensed an urgency in his spirit. Kneeling before the people, he implored them, brothers and sisters, let us consecrate ourselves once more. We have tasted of the goodness of our God, yet we must be vigilant. There is more to this victory, we must seek the heart of the Lord for further understanding. Ahijah, with his steadfast gaze, replied, Truly, Jabez, for the Lord has not only delivered us for this day but is preparing us for what is to come. Let us inquire of the Lord, for his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are deeper than our hearts can fathom. Thus, they lifted their voices to heaven in a humble yet bold cry, beseeching the Lord for revelation. Speak, O God. Your servants are listening. Then, in the shadow of that holy gathering, the earth shook once more, this time not in fear but in a divine foundation of promise. A cloud, similar to the one they witnessed before, began to form, swirling with vibrant, luminous colors, a divine reminder of God's covenant with his people. From within that holy cloud came a voice, resonating like thunder, yet gentle like a soft whisper. Fear not, O you people of Judah, for the war is not over. A greater purpose unfolds before you. This victory is but a taste of the multitude of blessings I shall pour out upon you. A murmuring spread through the crowd, igniting both awe and concern. What does this mean? They asked, eyes wide with expectation. Listen closely, the voice continued. The days ahead shall be filled with trials and tests, but fear not. For in your willingness to trust in me, I shall bless you abundantly. Tell the people to prepare their hearts and to stand firm in faith. I am raising up a remnant among you that will fulfill the promises made to your fathers. Not only shall you overcome, but from your lineage shall come one who will bring salvation to my people. Jabez's heart raced as the revelation washed over him. He realized the immense weight of the words spoken, the implications that echoed through generations. When the Lord's plan unfolded, it would be far more profound than mere military triumph. Humbled and courageous, Jabez spoke as inspiration coursed through him. Let us heed the voice of the Lord. Let us prepare for what is to come with hearts of praise and thanksgiving. For God's faithfulness will not falter. And so the people responded, readying themselves for the future that was shrouded in divine mystery, filled with promise and purpose. Though the road ahead seemed daunting, they lifted up their hands and voices, rejoicing not only for victory past but for what the Almighty would surely achieve in their midst. With the flames of expectation ignited in their hearts, they lingered in prayer, waiting for the Lord to unfold the depths of his sovereign plan, a plan that would forever change their destiny and the destiny of all his people. What could this new revelation be, and who would be the chosen one to fulfill the promise? And it came to pass, as the voices of the assembly rose like incense before the Lord, that Jabez turned his gaze upward, seeking divine clarity amid the holy reverence. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and the hearts of the faithful beat in unison, resonating with the echoes of the Almighty's promise. Let us not shy away from the task ahead, Jabez declared, his voice steady, filled with the weight of the revelation. For even now, the God of Israel prepares a way where there seems to be none. Let us arise and seek the guidance of the Lord so that we may act in accordance with his will. As if to affirm his words, the cloud hovered closer over the assembly, shimmering with an ethereal glow. The murmurs of the crowd stilled, and a breathless reverence enveloped them. In that sacred silence, the voice of the Lord resounded once more. Know this, O people, the true testing of your faith will come through trials. But as you endure, I will be your refuge. The words shaped themselves within each heart, instilling strength. Jabez's heart filled with courage as the people absorbed the truth of God's unwavering presence. Fear not the trials, for they are but stepping stones to the greater thing I shall accomplish through you. Ahijah, emboldened by the Spirit, spoke, Let us seek to understand this greater purpose, Jabez. What actions, then, shall we undertake to strengthen our faith and ready ourselves for what God has revealed? Firstly, Jabez replied without hesitation, Let us set apart a season of fasting and prayer to cleanse our hearts. For the Lord desires a people wholly devoted to him. Secondly, let us gather all our resources and distribute to those in need, for in doing so, we die to ourselves and come alive in the way of the Lord. Confirming his readiness to serve, Ahijah raised a hand, inspiring others, Indeed. Let us remember what is written, He who is generous will be blessed, for he gives some of his food to the poor. Proverbs 22 verse 9. As the crowd nodded in agreement, they began to organize their tasks, unified in purpose. The heart of the assembly surged with faith as they sought the Lord's wisdom, and so it was that they bowed low before the Lord in prayer, beseeching his guidance. O God, grant us strength and clarity. Lead us in your paths of righteousness. May our actions reflect your love and truth. Suddenly, the luminous cloud flickered with vibrant hues, and like fire, whispers of the divine descended to envelop them, revealing a vision of the future. Jabez witnessed the faces of his descendants, generations intertwined with the sacred task ahead. The remnant raised by God would shine like stars in the night, shedding light upon the earth. The thunderous voice spoke once again, You shall not walk this path alone. I will send my envoy to guide you, one trained in warfare not of flesh but of spirit, equipped with both wisdom and power. Prepare your hearts and your households, for the time is at hand when my promise shall unfold." The assembly gasped, their spirits ignited by this revelation. A murmuring of hope sparked among them, with many wondering, "Who is this envoy? What shall we do in preparation?" Jabez steadied himself and responded, "Let us return to our homes and speak of his wonders. Let us teach our children the stories of our faithfulness and his deliverance. For in nurturing this flame of belief, we brace ourselves for what is to come." As dusk fell upon the land, the assembly walked away with hearts swelled with expectancy, prepared to embrace the unknown. Each step echoed with the promise of the Lord, no longer just a dream of victory, but the unfolding of divine destiny that held them all in its embrace. Yet, as Jabez set his eyes toward the horizon, a shadow crossed his mind, whispering a question deep within: what trials lay ahead? What sorrows must be endured for the promise to be fulfilled? Thus, they parted ways, a murmuring of unease mingling with the echoes of assurance, for the future has always been tightly woven into the sovereign plan of God. What breathtaking purpose awaited this chosen remnant, and how would their faith lead them into the depths of divine mystery? In the days that followed the contest in the valley, Jabez took to heart the powerful proclamation of the Lord, a promise echoing through his spirit. His journey had been one not merely of personal victory but of divine intent, a weaving of destinies that would unearth blessings far beyond his own legacy. As the sun rose over the hills of Judah, casting warmth upon the weary and hopeful people, Jabez gathered them before him. With a resolute heart, he spoke, "Brothers and sisters, we stand on sacred ground, witnesses to the power of our God. He has revealed himself to us, reminding us that each victory is but a prelude to the greater works he has planned." His words fell like rain upon parched soil, nurturing their souls and igniting a fervor for what lay ahead. Then an air of solemnity enveloped the crowd, echoing the weight of divine purpose. Ahijah, the prophet filled with the Spirit, rose to his feet. "What has been revealed shall not come without trial, for the Lord will test our hearts as gold is refined. But take heart, for we shall rise stronger in faith. Prepare yourselves, for the journey will require vigilance and unity." A murmuring of agreement rippled through the gathered assembly, and Jabez continued, "Let us not only cherish this moment but actively seek the heart of God, standing firm against the tides of adversity. We shall not be mere spectators but diligent servants of his will." And so they prayed. With humble hearts bowed low, they sought the Lord's wisdom. "May our actions reflect your will, O God. We dedicate ourselves anew to your service," they cried, their voices a melodious harmony of hope and trust. Days turned into weeks, and the people labored together, providing for the needy, sharing testimonies of faith and encouraging one another. Among them, Jabez noticed a new spirit emerging, one of resilience forged in the fires of prayer and communal effort. It was a blossoming of unity that transcended their individual fears, drawing them ever closer to the heart of God. Yet, the winds of conflict were not far behind. Whispers reached Jabez of Eliab rallying a coalition against them, stirring the hearts of dissenters and those entrenched in the legacy of sorrow. They were treacherous tides, threatening to sweep away all that the Lord had built. "Fear not," Jabez proclaimed as he sensed the growing dread among his people. "Though storms arise, we stand firm on the promise of our God. Our hope is not in our might, but in the everlasting arms of the Almighty. He has shown us his favor, let that be our strength." As darkness loomed with each passing day, Eliab's ire turned fierce. "You cannot stand against us, Jabez," he shouted defiantly to the masses, spitting venomous words. "Your name is synonymous with grief, and it shall be your undoing." But Jabez, undeterred, gathered his allies and, through fervent prayer, lifted his voice to the heavens. "Lord, we entrust our future into your hands. If you are for us, who can be against us? Shield us from the onslaught of fear, and grant us courage to face the challenges ahead." In that moment of unwavering conviction, a light fell upon the multitude. The atmosphere shifted as Jabez opened his heart wide to receive divine guidance. With each heartbeat, he gained clarity, a profound understanding, and a vision of the promise yet to unfold. "Gather with me," urged Jabez, as he felt the weight of the sacred trust bestowed upon him. "We will not falter. We will prepare our hearts for the battle to come, not with swords, but with faith, supplication, and unity. Days merged into a chorus of prayers and praises. The people stood in solidarity, shoulder to shoulder. Eliab, seeing the spirit of Judah unbroken, grew frantic, his pride stoked by animosity and fear. "Prepare for war," he declared in a final, desperate rally. "We shall crush their hopes and silence their prayers." But as Eliab's anger rose, so did the faith of Jabez's followers, strengthened by their shared experiences and united under the banner of the one who fights for them. They lifted their voices in one accord, declaring, "The Lord is our light and our salvation, whom shall we fear?" Then, amidst the clash of shadows and light, came the dawning of a new day, a vision of triumph unfolding before them. Jabez realized that God was using this moment to forge an unshakable resolve in their hearts. United under the promise of his covenant, they prepared to walk into the battles yet unseen, awaiting the miracles that would follow, and it was in that sacred anticipation that the heavens opened, the Spirit of God moving among them, imparting strength and courage to face the unknown. For Jabez understood at last, his name, once a legacy of sorrow, had become a beacon of hope, a testament to the redemptive power of faith and the unfailing love of God. As he looked out over the vast assembly, overwhelmed by the very presence of the Almighty, he smiled, knowing that in their midst lay the seeds of revival, a generation poised to carry forth the blessings of God into uncharted territories. So it came to be that Judah rose, transformed, united under the holy promise and emboldened by the Spirit of the Lord, prepared to honor their God and fulfill the divine destiny laid before them. For in faith, they marched not only into battle, but into the very heart of God's unfolding plan, a journey of blessings that would echo through the ages. Do not miss this opportunity to join in the faith of these powerful stories. Click the bell icon and subscribe immediately to stay connected to God's Word. Make sure to leave a like now to help spread God's truth through the algorithm, and share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need encouragement. Your voice has the power to transform lives. Comment your reflections on this story and how it impacted your walk with Christ.